So there were 4 heavyweight fights I wanted to talk about from last night. Most of them were just blowouts, so I thought rather than recording 4 separate videos, let's get them all out, discuss them in one video. Disclaimer at the start, I've seen 2 of these fights, I haven't seen the other 2. So I'm going to deal with the 2 that I have seen first, because I can probably cover them in a bit more detail. So, in a fight that went largely under the radar, it may surprise some people to learn that Derek Chisora actually fought last night. He was obviously on some sort of European undercard, having signed with the Sauerland brothers. But he fought a guy called Peter Bedros, or something similar to that, a Hungarian guy. The guy had a record of 9 wins and 8 losses. He'd been outpointed by Gary Cornice. Even more worryingly than that, he'd been knocked out in 1 round by Irish heavyweight prospect Sean Turner. So things didn't bode particularly well for this guy going in against Chisora. And in the first round, the first thing that you'd have to notice was the size difference between the 2. Chisora was the much bigger man. I don't know what Bedros was weighing in at, but he certainly looked like a cruiserweight in there. Chisora, a disciplined performance from him. He threw his jab, and he jabbed quite a lot in this fight. He jabbed more than I'd really seen him jab before. But I think the thing with Chisora is, it's not that he doesn't jab, it's that his jab is very ineffective against taller opponents. And 99% of the time, he is the sort of guy in the ring, and he can't find a way of getting inside his opponent's jab, like we saw in the Tyson Fury fight. That wasn't an issue here. And Chisora was kind of bouncing up and down, you know, relatively light on his feet comparatively, throwing the jab, and yeah, really doing some work behind the jab, which is good to see. He was throwing body shots, you know, there's a lot of work to the body. And sometimes you say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but you do wonder if changing promotional teams, changing coaches, maybe there is one last crack at it for Derek Chisora. And what he was doing here was the jab and then throw the hook to the body. He was kind of doing slightly less of the huge overhand right kind of bolo punches that he typically does. So, yeah, that was positive. I think the worry is, though, this fight only reaffirmed to me that Derek Chisora, he just isn't really an elite level heavyweight in terms of punching power. I mean, he fights like a power puncher, but he just isn't. Sean Turner, as I say, got this guy out there in 1 round, and Chisora kind of laboured to a 5-round win here. And even when he stopped the opponent, it was kind of like the referee just jumped in. Yeah, Chisora caught him with a big hook to the face, and the guy went back a bit, but he didn't fall over, and he probably could have fought on. You know, it was an 8-round fight, and the referee just felt like it wasn't competitive, and he had enough, so he waved it off. Anyway, good to see Chisora back in the mix, I guess. He's going to need to step up the opposition, because the 3 wins he's had since the loss to Tyson Fury, you know, this guy, Nascimento, and the other guy, I think his name was Becca Lodzik or something like that, you know, they've been pretty woeful opposition. Yeah, perhaps it would be nice to see Chisora in a more European Commonwealth title level fight next time out. I appreciate the Sauerlands haven't had a lot of time with him, so yeah, it's probably scraping around for an opponent. But anyway, Chisora's back on. Video of that fight does appear to be on YouTube, so anyone's interested, do check it out. The second one I saw was Kubrat Pulev versus Maurice Harris. Obviously, Harris, formerly a decent heavyweight, not been on the best run recently, very much in the autumn of his career. He got stopped in 1 round last time out by Ustinov, if I recollect. Anyway, Kubrat Pulev put in a sort of trademark Kubrat Pulev performance. He did that weird thing he does with his hands when they're going up and down, you know, throwing the classic Kubrat Pulev jab. He was a bit more aggressive in this fight. You know, he came forward and put it on Maurice Harris. You know, Harris looked kind of scared of his power. Didn't really look like he wanted to be in there, if I'm completely honest. And the second Pulev, you know, started throwing things off the jab, he's throwing a right hand or throwing a punch to the body, you know, Maurice Harris looked in all sorts of trouble, and I think Pulev got him out of there about 2 minutes into the first round. You know, used his jab to open a gap and then threw a hook to the body. So yeah, fair play to Kubrat Pulev. Obviously the opponent again was nothing. Pulev, I think, has had 2 fights since his loss to Klitschko, this guy and George Arias. Again, obviously need to see him in a better fight. I mean, Pulev, Chisora, could you mix them together? Very possibly. Now, the 2 fights I didn't see, Hughie Fury versus Larry Olibamwa. You know, I saw people tweeting Peter Fury saying, is there footage of the fight? And Peter Fury said something to the effect like, I wouldn't really bother. You know, the opponent was down twice early on. Fight got waved off after 90 seconds. So, yeah, against Larry Olibamwo at this stage of Larry's career, you know, knocking him out in one probably doesn't mean too much. But at least it shows us that Hughie's in good order. At least he got a fight in and was able to stay active to some extent after the debacle with getting him an opponent to fight in the Tyson Fury undercard. So yeah, he made light work of Larry Olibamwo by all accounts. Olibamwo doesn't seem to have much to offer at any sort of level these days, and is just turning up as an opponent. Hughie Fury, you know, there's talk of him having a big fight next year. I think Peter Fury says next February. Let's hope so. You know, he's still young, he's still a baby. There's no need to rush him whatsoever. He seems to have progressed. He seems to be putting in improved performances and hitting harder and being a bit stronger. And that happens when you're a man of his size who's so young. You know, it takes a while to grow into your man strength. So, you know, fair play to Hughie Fury. Did we learn anything in this fight? I can say conclusively, without having even seen the fight, we didn't learn anything. Finally, Adrian Granat versus Michael Sprott. People will know the name Michael Sprott. People may not know the name Adrian Granat. I've seen him fight before. I saw him fight Danny Williams. He stopped Danny in 2 rounds. I didn't see the Sprott fight here. For those who don't know, Granat, Swedish heavyweight. I think he's about 6'8", so he's a very, very big guy. He's 10-0 now, having beaten Michael Sprott last night. 9 of those 10 coming by a knockout. You know, the level of opponent he's been in with is, you know, not so bad. You know, for the first 10 fights for European heavyweight, he's fought Michael Sprott, he's fought Konstantin Aretz, he's fought Danny Williams. You know, he got Danny out in 2, he got Michael out in 1 last night, he got Aretz out in 3. You know, it's not terrible form. And the thing about Granat is he's very, very young. You know, he's 24 years old. So we've got a 6'8" heavyweight who's 10-0, 9 knockouts, 24 years old. As I said, I didn't see the fight last night, so I don't know, you know, how good he looked. Previously, he hasn't set the world on fire. I remember when I saw him fight Danny Williams, you know, I wasn't taken back by anything he was doing. He just seemed to be a tall heavyweight doing the basics, and he didn't seem to have too much power or too much hand speed or anything like that. He was just a level above what was the shell of Danny Williams. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he progresses. Early stages of his career, but he's building a resume, and you know, who knows if we'll see him in a big fight one day. Not impossible. As for Michael Sprott, you know, first round loss to a 10-fight novice, first round loss to Anthony Joshua, first round loss to Cali Meehan, got knocked out by Carlos Takam as well recently. Everyone in British boxing likes Michael Sprott, but yeah, it may be best if he starts to seriously consider his options after this. Let me know your thoughts on these 4 fights. Did you see any of them? Who did you think performed the best? Who looked like the best prospect out there? You know, from what I saw, Kubrat Pulev looked, well, he put in a Kubrat Pulev style performance, but he looks like he's in good nick. Maybe there's a big fight out with him. Who knows if it could be against the likes of Derek Chisora. Be interesting to see. Let me know your thoughts. If you've enjoyed this video, I might call it a heavyweight roundup. Give me the thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. Many thanks for watching.